It was a cold Tuesday morning when 17-year-old Malik Johnson stepped into the sleek lobby of Crescent Tech Solutions. His hands were slightly sweaty, and his heart pounded in his chest. Today wasn't just any day. Today, he was applying for his first real job, a stepping stone toward independence and a chance to finally prove to his family that he could make it. Malik had spent the last few weeks meticulously preparing. He had polished his shoes, ironed his shirt, and practiced his interview answers until they rolled off his tongue like second nature. But no amount of preparation could have readied him for what happened next. He approached the front desk, and the receptionist smiled warmly, handing him a visitor badge. "The manager will see you now," she said. Malik nodded, trying to steady his shaking hands. He took a deep breath and stepped into the manager's office. On the other side of the glass door sat Mr. Caldwell, the white manager notorious among the staff for his sharp tongue and harsh demeanor. Malik had heard stories of applicants who left the office in tears, stories of discrimination and ridicule. But he hoped, against all odds, that this time would be different. As soon as Malik entered, Caldwell's eyes narrowed, scanning him from head to toe. There was a pause, a long, uncomfortable silence, before Caldwell let out a sharp, mocking laugh. "You think you're qualified for this position?" Caldwell sneered. "Really? You? A teenager with no experience? This isn't a playground." Malik's throat went dry. His carefully rehearsed words were now trapped behind his fear. But he didn't walk out. He didn't cry. He simply swallowed the lump in his throat and tried to respond. I've studied hard, and I'm ready to learn," Malik stammered. "I promise I'll work my best." Caldwell's laughter grew louder, echoing across the sleek office. "Work your best? Kid, this isn't for you. We need professionals, not amateurs." He leaned back in his chair, smirking, as if Malik's very presence was a joke. Malik felt a burning mix of anger, humiliation, and disbelief. He had faced racism before, yes, but never so directly, so unapologetically, in a place where he hoped he would be treated fairly. The words stung, each one like a whip across his confidence. He clenched his fists under the table, refusing to let the tears fall. I understand," he said quietly, his voice trembling. It was then that the office door opened unexpectedly, and in walked Ms. Hartley, the CEO of Crescent Tech Solutions. She was known to rarely step into managerial spaces unless something urgent required her attention. Malik's heart skipped a beat. "Caldwell," she said, her voice calm but firm. "What's going on here?" Caldwell blinked, caught off guard. He hadn't expected anyone to witness what he considered his moment of authority. CEO Hartley, I was just evaluating this applicant," he stammered. Ms. Hartley's gaze shifted to Malik. She studied him for a long moment, and then her eyes returned to Caldwell, piercing, unflinching. "Evaluating," she repeated slowly. "Because it looked to me like you were mocking him. Is that correct?" Caldwell opened his mouth, then closed it. His smirk faltered. The office suddenly felt colder. Malik felt a small spark of hope. Ms. Hartley turned fully to Malik, her voice now gentle. "I'm sorry you had to experience that. But I want to see for myself what you can do. Let's have a proper interview, shall we?" Malik nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. His confidence slowly returned. He straightened his posture, squared his shoulders, and stepped fully into the room, ready to prove himself, not to Caldwell, but to the world. For the next hour, Malik answered question after question. He spoke with clarity, intelligence, and passion about his knowledge of technology, his dedication to learning, and his willingness to work hard. Ms. Hartley listened attentively, occasionally nodding, jotting down notes. Caldwell sat silently, his smug arrogance gone, replaced with an uneasy frown. When the interview concluded, Ms. Hartley stood up. "Malik," she said warmly, "you've impressed me. Very few candidates come in with your level of preparation and determination. I'd like to offer you the position." Malik's eyes widened. For a moment, he couldn't believe it. Then, a wave of relief, pride, and triumph washed over him. This wasn't just a job. This was a victory against the humiliation he had endured, against the prejudice that tried to hold him back. Caldwell looked down at his desk, silent. Malik had not only survived the encounter, he had triumphed. Malik walked out of the office that day with his head held high. The city streets felt different somehow, lighter, full of possibility. The laughter that tried to break him had instead become fuel for his ambition. He thought about his younger siblings, who were watching him struggle and grow up in a world that didn't always treat black teens fairly. Today, he had shown them that resilience and courage could rewrite someone else's narrative. And as he walked past the glass doors, he couldn't help but glance back at Caldwell, who still sat at his desk. Malik didn't say a word. He didn't need to. His success, his determination, his future, all of it spoke louder than any insult could. Malik thought the interview victory had ended the humiliation, but outside the sleek office walls, the ripples of hostility had just begun. The very next morning, Malik received a text from an unknown number. "Enjoy your little victory today. Don't get too comfortable. Some lessons are learned the hard way." Malik's heart raced. He showed the text to Ms. Hartley, who frowned. "This isn't how we treat candidates here. Someone is trying to intimidate you." Malik nodded, but he felt a cold knot in his stomach. He couldn't shake the feeling that Caldwell's pride had turned into malice. A week later, Malik arrived for his first day on the job. The office was bustling, yet the atmosphere felt heavier than he remembered. Caldwell glared at him from across the floor, whispering to other employees, smirking. Every time Malik walked by, he could feel the weight of judgment, and it was exhausting. Then came the first shocking incident. During a team meeting, Caldwell deliberately assigned Malik an impossible task, one that even experienced employees struggled to complete. When Malik hesitated to ask for guidance, Caldwell smirked and said, loud enough for the room to hear, "I didn't think you'd be able to handle this." Typical. The room fell silent. Malik's cheeks burned, not with shame, but with anger. But he remembered Ms. Hartley's words, "Don't let anyone steal your confidence." Malik worked late into the night, meticulously solving the task. By morning, he had not only completed it but improved on the original plan, creating a more efficient solution than the seasoned employees had suggested. When he presented it, the room went silent, then murmurs of admiration spread. Caldwell's face turned red, his smirk disappearing. He tried to take credit, but Malik's integrity and brilliance were undeniable. It should have ended there. But it didn't. The next shock came unexpectedly. Malik's locker had been tampered with. Inside, someone had left a crumpled note with a photo of him leaving the interview room the week before, alongside the words, "We're watching. Step out of line again, and it won't be a lesson, it'll be a warning." Malik froze. His heart raced. The intimidation had moved from verbal ridicule to stalking and threats. He immediately reported it to HR, where Ms. Hartley personally intervened, reassuring Malik that anyone caught harassing him would face severe consequences. But Malik knew something Ms. Hartley didn't. Caldwell was determined to break him, and he had allies quietly supporting him. Days passed, and the psychological warfare escalated. Emails containing subtle threats arrived in Malik's inbox. Anonymous phone calls punctuated his evenings. Even coworkers who had once smiled at him began avoiding eye contact, leaving Malik feeling isolated in a sea of people. Yet, with each act of intimidation, Malik grew stronger. He documented everything: screenshots of emails, recordings of threats, photos of suspicious behavior. Each piece of evidence became a shield and a weapon. The turning point came during a boardroom presentation, where Malik's innovative project was being showcased to the CEO and senior executives. As Malik confidently demonstrated his plan, Caldwell interrupted, attempting to undermine him in front of the CEO. "I don't think a teenager understands the complexities of this project," Caldwell sneered. Before Malik could respond, Ms. Hartley stood and turned toward Caldwell, her voice sharp and commanding. "Enough. You've tried to intimidate him, ridicule him, and sabotage his work. But Malik's results speak louder than your arrogance ever could. The room went silent. Malik's hands trembled, not with fear, but with adrenaline. For the first time, he saw Caldwell falter, powerless against truth and merit. As Malik left the meeting, another shock awaited him. Security cameras in the hallway had captured Caldwell trying to erase Malik's work from the company server. HR immediately confronted Caldwell, and within hours, an official warning and investigation had been filed. Caldwell's reign of intimidation had crumbled, not because Malik was weak, but because he had stood tall, documented everything, and let his talent speak. By the end of the month, Malik had not only secured his position but had earned the respect of colleagues and executives alike. Caldwell, stripped of his authority over Malik, had become a cautionary tale of what happens when arrogance meets accountability. Malik walked past him one afternoon in the office, head held high, and whispered under his breath, "You laughed at me. But I'm still standing. And stronger than ever." And for the first time in his young life, Malik understood resilience isn't just surviving, it's thriving in the face of injustice. Malik thought things couldn't get any crazier, but he was wrong. The very next Monday, he arrived at the office to find the entire floor buzzing with whispers and nervous glances. Caldwell, as usual, was lurking like a storm cloud, but something felt different. There was a tension in the air that even he couldn't hide. As Malik walked past his desk, he noticed something strange, a stack of folders labeled Caldwell's Secrets. Curious, he flipped one open. Inside were detailed notes about every petty scheme Caldwell had tried against him, the impossible projects, the stolen credit, the emails, the locker threats, even his ridiculous stick figure threats. Malik couldn't help but chuckle. "So, you kept receipts? Too bad you forgot to lock them away," he thought. Malik had an idea. Slowly, he shared the files with Ms. Hartley, and together they set a little trap. During the next team meeting, Malik pretended to be nervous, adjusting his notes, letting Caldwell think he was scared. Caldwell leaned back smugly, sure he had the upper hand. Then Malik began. Calmly, he started presenting the team project that Caldwell had tried to take credit for. But halfway through, Malik hit a button on his laptop, and a slideshow appeared on the big screen, emails, photos, screenshots, even a video of Caldwell laughing at him during the interview. The room went silent. Caldwell's jaw dropped. I can explain," Caldwell stammered, but Malik cut him off. "No explanation needed. The evidence speaks for itself." The CEO, Ms. Hartley, stood behind Malik with a satisfied smile. "It seems some lessons are learned the hard way, Mr. Caldwell," she said, her tone calm but deadly. By now, everyone in the room was laughing quietly, some nervously, some gleefully. Malik took a breath and added, with perfect timing, "And yes, I even kept the stick figure threat. Very professional. 10 out of 10 effort." The room erupted in laughter. Caldwell turned red, furious, humiliated beyond belief. Malik couldn't stop smirking. Sometimes the best revenge is a little humor with a lot of truth, he thought. But the surprises weren't over. As Malik finished his presentation, a video popped up from the security cameras showing Caldwell sneaking into Malik's locker days ago. The employees gasped. Caldwell tried to explain, but the evidence was irrefutable. He had been caught red-handed, and now everyone knew. From that moment on, Caldwell's reign of intimidation collapsed completely. Malik had not only survived, he had thrived spectacularly. His co-workers cheered for him. Even the junior interns whispered, "Malik's a legend." Outside the office later that day, Malik received a text from the same unknown number that had been sending threats for weeks. He hesitated, then opened it. "Congratulations, you win. We underestimated you." Malik laughed so hard he nearly dropped his phone. "Oh, I don't think they ever expected this," he said to himself. "And the best part? They'll never forget it." As he walked home, Malik thought about everything: the fear, the humiliation, the absurd stick figures, the threats, and the suspense-filled days of surviving Caldwell's schemes. And he realized something profound. Sometimes the world will try to knock you down, mock you, and scare you, but if you stay smart, brave, and a little cheeky, you get the last laugh. And Malik? He had laughed the loudest.